Hello everyone, my name is Clutch and welcome to Lucifer Mechanics Garage of Drag, Speed, and Styrene Customs Fabrication.
Destroying everything that affects, making me rich for my sins. Welcome to the Lucifers Mechanics Garage.
How's it going everyone? This is Clutch coming at you with another edition of Lucifer Mechanics Garage. Today we're going to get started back on the Pontiac 421 semi-hemi. I went in and did some more research on this motor, and come to find out that that Mickey Thompson designed these heads for Pontiac, and not only did he design heads for Pontiac, but when he was racing for Ford also, he also came up with a hemi head design, a hemispherical head for the Ford and the small, for the big block Ford and the small block Ford. After doing a bunch of research, I was kind of blown away seeing a small block Ford with a hemi style head on it. So there's a little bit more history in that, and as we move along, I'm gonna pull up some more of the background of these heads. As you can see, and that I went in and I've added the side ridges. It's kind of hard to tell because of the white, but I added the upper ridge to the head, and then I added the water outlet that comes out here, the front and the rear. Maybe you get in here and see a little bit better. As you can see, I added the ridge that comes here, and then the water outlets for the front and the back, just as they've got them. I'm not going to sand the edges like it is on the back here. Round them off and round it off on the front part until we get everything done, and then I can start going in and sanding, because I want to keep everything pretty square until I get the valve covers done, and then we can move on to rounding the edges off and making everything sure they fit everything good. Since the last video, you can see I went in and I pinned it, put 1/16 brass rod pins in them, and if you look at it, you can see that I got them offset. The reason I offset these is when I cast these heads, I always do a two-part cast. I never do scrape mold casting, because I just don't like them, because when you cast them and you scrape them, you always got the sink marks in there, or sometimes you fill it and you don't get this good scrape on it, and you wound up with too much material. And then by the time you go in there and you start sanding it, you start cutting and getting into places you don't want to cut. So just about everything I do is a two-part mold for everything. So but as you can see, the holes, I laid them out to the point to where the holes are going to land into the piston, and it won't be on the block, on the head deck of the block. The reason I did that is because when you go, I'm gonna wind up putting tubing in here to fit with these brass with this brass rod, so that way when I cast this block and cast this head, it'll always be a perfect fit on both sides. And when you go in there and start, if you was to cast on top of the deck, you would have to go in there and clean it, and therefore you'd take a lot of material off that you didn't need to, and then you just run into fitting problems, and it would just look awful when you put the motor together. How I'm going to cast these heads, like I said, I'm going to cast them in two-part. So when I cast them, I'm gonna cast them with these brass rods in there, and when I pull the part out, you know, out of the molding, and then I go to cast another one, all I got to do is just cut 2 brass rods, stick them down in the holes where these were at, and then pour my resin, and then these brass rods will automatically be in the head, so the fitting issue is over with. And then when I cast the block, the same would be for the block. So basically all the cleanup will, you know, just a little bit of prep, take a little bit of flash off, and then you have a spot to put the heads perfectly every time. You have a place to put the head perfectly every time, so that way when you go to put your, you know, your lifter valley and your blower, you know, whatever your intake or whatever you got, everything will always be the same. You know, it won't be you got to sit there and mess with the heads and try to make them fit, and you know, and glue one side and glue the other, and you know how it goes. The heads slip and it just becomes a messy job and can really ruin a beautiful motor. So what we're going to do today is after I got all that done, is we're going to go in here and we're going to start on the valve covers. I'm going to start laying them out a while ago, and we're going to get them laid out, and we're going to get in there and start adding plastic and our styrene and start working our magic and come up with a valve cover. So stay tuned, everyone. All right, everyone. We're going to get, I wanted to show you the layout that I got for these valve covers. I'm kind of go through what we're going to do, so that way I give you somewhat of an idea of how this is going to be get together. All right, these strips right here, this is the top view of the valve cover. These strips right here are going to be 80 .080 by 0.125 styrene strip. There's going to be 3 of them, and right in here is going to be a 1/16 by 0.010 strip. Okay, now the reason being is since we're using the 3/64 tubing as our holes for our valve covers, as you can see here on these spots here where these dotted lines are, this is actually where the 3/64 is going to stop from the top of the bottom of the valve cover. All right, and then when we put the 0/10,000 strip in here, what we're going to do is when we get it all together, we're going to go in here and sand these out, and that way you'll have your curvature that goes inside your head. Okay, to put the bolts in. Now, as you can see, right in here, these on the front view, they'll come to about right here. Okay, because if you see these arrows going like this, it's going to be concaved, much like the hemi head. So therefore, when it's concaved and this is going to be straight, you're going to have that U shape in there to where their bolt fits in. Okay. Now on the back of the valve cover is going to be a little different. Okay. These arrows going like this means that it's going to be a straight curve, and it's actually going to go, the tubing is actually going to run all the way up to the top, and when we get it put in there, we're going to sand it down too, so that way you wind up with that horseshoe shape in there, or half moon, or whatever you want to call it, for the bolt to slide down in. When I show you the picture, the pictures in the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, we've already got our piece cut for the valve cover to go on top of here. We've got, like I said, we've got the 0.080 by 0.125, which is going to go sit on top of the valve cover like this. There's going to be 2 more, and we're going to glue them together, and get them set, get it sanded to where it fits in there the way it's supposed to, Then we're going to go in and take the 010 strip, and as this goes on the outside, like I said, it's going to have the tubing that's going to come up through here, and in between the tubing is where we're going to put this strip, and they're like that. It's going to have a strip, tubing, then in between the two pieces of tubing it's going to have the strip, so that way it's got like you know, it's got an indentation to it, and that way when you sand it you wind up with a half moon. So I hope that's not too confusing. You'll see it more when I get it all laid out and done. But I just kind of wanted to show you this process of how I come up with everything that I do. Usually when you make up your valve covers or anything you're doing, make your curves with double arrows one way for concave, and then go the opposite way, so that way you know that it's like a straight overture curve. You know what I'm saying? I will get more into it when in the next segment of this, when we shut the video off and come back. Okay, so let's get in here and start doing this. Okay. All right, everyone, I just wanted to give you a quick look here, the progress that we got going on before I start getting a little further. As you can see, we've cut our .080 by .125 styrene. We've cut 3 of them and glued them together, squared them up, and we got it set it on our 40 thousandths styrene sheet. That's going to be the bottom of the valve cover. And right in here, as you can see, I added the 10,000 strip, 1/16 by 10 thousandths. I actually added 2 of them, which these right here, which this 3/64 brass tubing is going to rest up against. The brass tubing or everything, nothing's mounted yet. This is just to give you guys an idea of what's going on. Still got to go in, sand them down, shape them up, and you know, get them ready to glue in. Still, what I got to do is when I glue this side in, and like on the other side, what I got to do is I got to go in and add a couple more strips of 10 thousandths, 1/16 by 10 thousandths in between the tubing. That right there will build me out, and then what's going to eventually happen is I'm going to take my liquid styrene and I'm going to let it flow in between all that right there to give it shape, and then let it dry, and then I'm going to go in and shape all that up to make it look like the valve covers. As you can see, the back part of it here, basically the same thing's is going on there also. As you can see, it you know, none of the tubing, still got to sand it down and get it nice and shaped up. And the same thing's going to happen in here, except what I'm going to do is I got to go in with 40 thousandths in between all that, and you know, and you know, put it in there, and then I'll be able to go in there and sand it down, and that's where I'll get my horse shape, you know, looking or curvature to it where the bolts go in. She's taking shape, and we're getting a little bit closer, so let me go in here and finish all this up, and we'll see what we come out with, guys. Okay. All right, everyone, here she is. She's almost complete. Just a little bit more to go, and we're gonna have ourselves a valve cover for the semi-hemi Pontiac motor. As you can see, I went in and got all the 3/64 tubing, you know, sanded down and even and nice and tucked in there, and got them all glued in. She came out pretty nice. You see the front here. See how the front is all up along through here. This is what I did was I made a mix of my styrene, liquid styrene that I do. I just poured some out of a jar that I already had made, and just added some you know, added some more liquid glue to it, and I got it just a little bit thinner, you know. And then I went in with a brush. And just started brushing it up all around the valve cover, you know, so I could have something to come in and sand later. Now what I got to do is let this sit for about 4 or 5 days, let it harden up, because you know when you add you know more liquid glue to it, it takes a little bit more longer to set in. But once it hardens up and everything, I can come in here and shape that valley up, and you know get in there and clean them holes out on the tubing. And of course the back, I think the back, once it dries up and everything, I'm going to have to come in here and add just a little bit more. I really didn't want to keep layering it on, but what I got to do is I got to build up some more in between here, and then I can go in with a file and sand it down, and that way I'll get my you know my concave or half moon shape inside the valve cover, and I'll have plenty to work with. So, but there she is. She's coming together. I mean, she's starting to look like a semi Pontiac Hemi head that you know Mickey Thompson came up with. He actually designed a set of valve covers. I actually even thought about going as far as adding the fins to the top, and I got a Mickey Thompson valve cover from another motor, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and press it down in some putty, and just pour some resin in there and grab the MT out of it and place it on top. And then when I put my ridges in and my holes and everything for the spark plugs, that way it'll look like a real nice Mickey Thompson head for the you know, for the Pontiac. So, but there she is. She's looking good. I think I'm pretty proud of it. The way it came out, pretty confident that she's going to shape up and look good. So, so we're going to let this sit for 4 or 5 days and let it harden up, and then we'll get back to it. In the meantime, I think I'm going to pull out the Jake's. I can't even think of the kid's name. Last name Jake. Anyway, I'm doing a build over there, the Poor Farmers build. I'm doing the 40 sedan tank car. I think I'm gonna pull that out tomorrow, and also I'm gonna pull out the 62 Biscayne and finish up the back of the chassis and get all that done and everything. So we'll have some more videos coming up in the next couple of days. So anyway, people, it's another series, the end of another series, and we'll get on to it next time here in the next 4 or 5 days. So love your families, love your friends, love your pets, and build smart and build efficient. See you later, brothers and sisters. Bye.
Everybody gather around the strip for a once-in-a-lifetime drag. We have a very special race for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We have Lucifer driving his full nitro funny car Camaro, ready to shred tires in competition at hellish speeds. Lucifer will be holding grudge matches all night, gambling for souls. Don't fret, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing will slow down his car, not even after crashes. Gashes are being completely mangled, all thanks to Lucifer's mechanic. He can fix it all. It won't rest until Lucifer is reigning champion.